Welcome to the Undisrupted podcast. I'm Carl. You know, Adam, as a tech leader, tech director, you probably get lots of help tickets, lots of support tickets for things when things go wrong. And I thought for our opening debate, I would ask you this. If you could pick one support ticket or one help ticket that you get over and over again, that whenever it's submitted, a genie would automatically repair it without any questions asked, what would be the one thing that you would get repaired every single time?
Probably the one that I don't know how the genie would fix this. Passwords.
Oh.
Password reset, password request. This would be password for voicemail, for their phones, for their email, you know, and it's just so,
Apple
we
ID.
get inundated. Apple ID, yeah.
Their Nest at home, their Amazon Alexa, yeah.
I mean, I've had, you know, this is back before we could federate the accounts. We had users, we'd sit them through the process of creating their ID, literally type in their password, and then you have to, like, now sign in. Oh, I forgot what it was. You just created it! Yes. You know, yeah. So yes, password resets. That's for me. What about you?
That would have been mine. I was thinking about that one, but I was actually leaning toward, I don't know why, but printers for me have always been a sore spot. So like when we went iPad 1-to-1 in 2011 or 12, I think it was, and the people were like, hey, how do you print from these things? Or can you print from them? And I'm like, you can. And that's all I would say, and I'd walk away. But I would actually never help them figure out how to print it because I was trying to get them to go a little more paperless. So yes, printer requests get me.
I just tell
always high priority.
I just tell mine I have papyrophobia, and I also tell them that paper cuts are the leading cause of office infections. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds like it could be.
I tell people I have a paper allergy. They just give me funny looks, and they're like, "Oh, so you don't want us to pay you money?" I was like, "No, not that kind of paper." But let's bring in our guest. This is Shad McGaha. He's a CTO at Wichita Falls here in Texas, everybody. And Shad, where would you fall on this? What's your one ticket or what's your one help ticket that you would think, God, I would just love to have that just automatically fix itself?
Man, I'll tell you what. I went with both of those. First, I thought passwords, and then Adam said password, and then I thought, well, printer jams, that'd be great. And then I'm like, well, I can't ask that one. So, you know, I guess we'll go with a third. And we've had more remotes lost for projectors than anything in the entire world. You would think they were made of solid gold. Those things walk off so often.
They do. It's the summertime. We at the end, we used to take these big giant Ziploc bags, and we made everyone like stuff all their smartboard markers, their projectors and everything, and then label them. And then still somehow we would lose about 10 to 20 of those at every campus. They just wander off.
Yeah. No, the worst are those Apple remotes. Like,
oh, the little silver ones?
Yeah, like I bought that thing. It was like some kind of tail, red tail thing that you can put on it at the house. So it's this big, long rubber doodad that I have on my Apple remote because the kids always lose it under the cushion of the couch. And we had some Apple remotes in our schools, and I know they walked away. So it's like, I don't even know what to do now.
Well, as a fellow Texan, I'm going to start us off with our serious, not so serious question for you here, Shad. And that is, of course, as a fellow Texan, I have to ask you this question. And this is, when was the last time you hunted and killed something? And what was it?
Man, I'm not going to lie. So last week we were we were trout fishing in New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So
really?
It wasn't kind of hunting, but we were still fishing and killing fish. So
yeah. How'd you end up? You catch something?
We did. We caught probably 20 that day.
Wow.
It was awesome because then we went home and we went to the store and got some stuff, and then we grilled them all up, and we had like 6 that night, and then we had the rest of them 2 nights later. So
that's awesome. Providing. See, always a provider.
All right. And we didn't waste anything either. So
even better. I like that.
Now there's a spider in my office, and I am the one man in the office around here, and so they like, Adam, there's a spider. So, you know, I had to move a couple of boxes, so that's my hunting.
There you go.
You know, and then I used a rolled up piece of paper, and I killed it.
That's
so there you go.
Quite the weapon there. That's good.
Did you grill it up though?
Oh,
yes. No. So I wasted it there.
Yep. See, gotta go all the way to the end with that, man. All the way to the end.
So when you're not out and about fishing and hunting, you know, with this job, that we always have these things that wreck our brains, and you know, we're always thinking about solutions to these problems. So what's the one thing that you think keeps you up at night as it relates to your job and providing service to our stakeholders?
Man, there's a couple of things. Number one's probably cybersecurity.
Yeah.
That's that's the one that wakes you up at night. I mean, that's the career ender right there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good
you
way of
know,
putting it.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, it really is.
It
So
is.
it's that, and then here lately, with all the crazy pandemic going on, digital inequality. I mean,
Yeah.
having those. I mean, so for us, we were just talking about this the other day, and we're working on a solution for it. But we have like roughly 1,800 kids that don't have internet access,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't bad. I mean, there's some people way worse than we are, but that's still 1,800 kids that had to do some sort of packet when we did school at home, and that's kind of rough.
So I get that kind of leads to this next question, and that is, I know you and I talked a while ago, right when this was getting started. I want to say it was like in April, and you were just starting to see some of the challenges that were coming with managing all this remotely. What are some things you've noticed just in the last few months, and then kind of going forward into the fall? Like, what are some challenges you see that are like when it comes to helping support, students and families at home remotely?
Man, I tell you what, help desk phone calls,
Yeah.
those were fun because you would get parents that would call and they would ask you homework questions. And you're like, wait, I thought you needed me to help you get on the internet or
Hey,
reset a
well,
password. I know nothing about trigonometry. I know nothing about English. I mean, that was a long time ago. So, I mean, those were probably the hardest, and seeing those kids. I mean, somebody showed me a video today, of a Facebook video of a girl that did a video of what her pandemic like experience at school at home was. And it's pretty powerful, man. I mean, she starts out, she's just sitting in a room all by herself, and she's looking at pictures on the walls of all her friends and all the things that she did in the past, like it was school dances or camp or whatever.
mm,
And then it goes, and then she opens up her laptop and she starts going through and opens up Classroom, and you see all these assignments and how overwhelming that might be for them. I mean, it was really that's pretty hard to see. And having two kids at home, I had to, I got a lot of that firsthand experience. We're in Wichita Falls, Texas, so we're 2 weeks behind everything else in Texas. It seems like, as far as whatever it is, pandemic included. And so we went home for a little while, but people in my office, we were here every day. We might work half a day. So
yeah.
my wife was at home with the kids. So I think that's probably the hardest part about all that is, the effect that's having on the kids.
Yeah, we made quick rolls here in our household, and that was that I was not to be the lead teacher at one point. I became tech support. I became the counselor. I became the principal in case there need to be discipline problems at home. But we worked well that way. We did not work well as co-teachers, so we had to figure out quickly how to adjust as co-teacher or co-parents in that sense. But yeah, that is a whole nother layer to it when you bring in your kids, because all of us have kids, and all of us are going through this too. Like, we're trying to work from home. We're trying to work. Like, you guys are both at the office, but there's days when you're not going to be able to go into the office. So that's a challenge, man.
Yeah, it's trying to find a place quiet enough at your house that you can work and be on phone calls and not have kids running through the background.
Yes.
You got to master the snap while you're not looking off the camera at the kids.
Yeah, they have the muted snap where you're like,
yeah. They don't see your hand; it's off the screen, but you know there's something's happening, or the look. Yeah.
Or the quick disable video and sound for a second, then you hop back on like nothing's changed.
And your face is just a little redder, but that's okay. Just compose yourself.
yeah.
So let me ask you this: knowing where we are today, and we're all fellow geeks here. So you're going to go ahead and get in your DeLorean for a second, and you're going to go back a couple of months. Okay, what would today Shad tell 3 months ago Shad about everything, and what does he need to do to get through it?
I would say, one, start working on the access for kids a little sooner than we did. Two is have conversations with administrators and teachers and just let them know, hey, you better be flexible, because I mean that's what happens every day in your job. It's just happening at a different location now. I think that's probably really the most important thing about this is just because we know what we know today, tomorrow it changes. I mean, we've had new information every 2 weeks. But I think if it were given, if we go back in the DeLorean a couple months, the process that we're starting next week with an RFP for like some private LTE for our school district, I would have started in January or maybe even December. Because I think that's going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge for all those kids that don't have anything.
And I think when you and I last spoke, Chad, you were talking, I remember we talked about, there was even the supply chain was actually slowing down because you were having a hard time getting, what's the status on that now? Are you getting your parts better? I know even Chromebook chargers were taking forever to get lead time on.
Yeah, parts. I mean, you got 20,000 Chromebooks. I mean, we've got parts that we're still fighting to get. They're trickling in. Power adapters are hard to find. Screens, touch screens, almost impossible to find. If you buy a Chromebook right now, you're looking at lead times in November, I think.
Wow.
Unless you find somebody that just happened to have some stock.
I know, Shad. I know a guy. You know a guy. I know a guy. He's talked to me off air. We can make some things happen.
Meet you in the Walmart parking lot. Yeah.
Ask me no questions. I tell you no lies. But we can make it happen.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, yeah, parts are hard to find. Chromebooks are hard to find. There for a long time, Mi-Fi's. Those kind of things were hard to find.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's been so crazy. I just had a call today with several vendors about some getting devices in, and we're talking anywhere between, as you mentioned, 80 and the worst I heard was 110 days lead time. And I said, okay, is that calendar days or business days? Yeah. And they said business days.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, so that's 21. That's not FY20. You're talking about we're getting into 21 to get these things in here.
You'll have vendors call you up and they're like, all right, I got 3,000, whatever, but like you got to decide today because if not, they're gone. I mean, I had one that was 2 weeks ago on a Friday. I got an email from one of our vendors and I called her up Monday morning. She's like, yeah, they're gone.
Jeez. I mean, look at like I went out and tried to do a home improvement project last week, and so just finding lumber is a challenge. So I can only imagine like finding parts coming in from China, coming in from all these different places. It makes our jobs a little more complex. But I will give you credit because you were one of the first I talked to early on when this started, and you were like, get your orders in now because you cannot wait till June or July. It's going to be way too late. So you didn't need the time machine. You knew how to do it back then. So,
well, it's funny. So like in January, February, we had just refreshed like 5,000 devices, and we were fixing to surplus 5,000 devices. And just on a hunch, I went to our superintendent and I said, what if we hold on to those just a little while? What happens if we need to send those home to some elementary kids that don't have devices? So we held on to those 5,000 and we used them. I mean, so we got lucky. I can't imagine like Sci-Fair, they just voted to go 1-to-1 a couple weeks ago. I mean, I don't know how the heck they're going to get those devices in.
Fourth largest district in the state of Texas. Yeah, that's a huge district too.
Yeah, they're talking about ordering like 20,000 Chromebooks or something. I'm like, good luck.
Yeah. 2021, here we come. All right, we're gonna do something fun with you. So we haven't done this with any other guests. So this is the one-word response. You ready? So I'm gonna give you a phrase or a word, and what I want you to do is just give me the first word that pops into your head when you hear this word or this phrase. So kind of like that, just right off the top of your head. Don't think about it too much. All right, so here we go. First word, BYOD.
Ooh. Ooh.
Ooh. Wait, let me type that in the notes. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay.
Now is it ooh with the wagging fist?
Ooh.
Or is
it
ooh?
Be so hard, man. I mean, just because you may have a kid come to school with, an iPad, or they may come to school with an old Android tablet, and you're going to try to make it all work. I mean, it's just, it's rough.
I used to say it's like
running Captain Crunch or whatever they call
it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the different Android. Well, I used to say it's like you're teaching to the lowest tree in the forest, right? You got all the trees in the forest, but you can only teach to the very basic one because you can't teach too higher because you don't know everyone has to have that same device, right? Or at least the minimum device.
Well, yeah, and like every class period's different.
Yep.
Your lowest device in period 1 may be different in 2.
Yeah. All right, next one. You ready? FERPA.
Man, that's rough. God, one word. Ouch. I'm like, ouch. I don't know if I sound so dumb. I'm like, ouch.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah. Ooh, ouch. Ow.
It is late in the day, folks. So those of you listening, this is late in the day for Shad. He's been at work all day, so give him a break.
I mean, that was rough.
All right, let's try a different. Apple.
Expensive?
Okay. This is great.
I love Apple. Look, I mean, I know. I have iOS devices. They're getting better. They really are. They figured it out.
Google. How about Google?
Google, hard to work with, but great. I'm just killing
I'm
them
trying
all,
to make
man.
this all.
I'm
This is
sorry.
all one
No, no,
word. I'm
no.
just making dashes now. It's like hard to work with.
No,
I mean,
no,
I always tell people like when I talk about Google and Chromebooks, I said they are the big ink pen of computers. You know, because it's one of those things that they had that price point where it's cheaper sometimes to toss it and get a new one than it is to actually like fix it. You know,
To put more ink in the pen. Yeah.
Well, and when like we love all things Google. The hardest thing about Google is updates, because when they update things, they tend to break content filters, and I mean they break all kinds of stuff. But
Yep.
they're a great overall company. I mean, without Classroom, without Google Meets, we would have been sunk.
yeah.
But they break our content filter just about every time they update.
All right, I'll get 3 more to go. Here we go. Internet Explorer.
Old.
That's an easy one. Okay, putting that in the notes. Palm Pilot.
Oh, my favorite.
Oh, really?
It was.
Yeah. You
In
like
college,
the Palm
man,
Pilot?
I had a Palm Pilot in college. Matter of fact, my wife and I sat next to each other in graduation from college, and we were playing on our Palm Pilots infrared. We were playing like Pong or something.
Oh yeah, or you could bing it back and forth.
Yeah, you could just sit and beam it back and forth. Yeah, so it was awesome. I have no clue what the keynote was or I just remember we played on our Palm Pilots.
And then that's when you knew it was true love.
True, yeah.
I remember our teachers doing like dibbles on their Palm Pilots or something.
You do the little IRIs, yeah. All right, last one. COVID.
I was trying to figure out a way not to say like something you have to beep. Let's see, COVID.
I'll just, you know what, I'm going to just put in the notes just a bunch of exclamation points. And
There you
weird
go. That's
letters.
a great idea. I was like,
That's the title of the podcast right there. People are going to click on that and go, what is he saying?
Yeah, there you go.
That's where we put in that tone where it's like stand by.
Yeah. Yes.
When you asked me like about the one word thing a second ago, I was like, man, I wonder if he's gonna have time to beat this.
Yeah, this is edited later, but yeah, who knows? We leave most of this in. Well, thank you for playing along. Yeah, that was I figured if anyone, you would probably be the first one to do this, and you could go, and you did great. Your answers are great. My favorite answer, particularly, was BYOD, which was ooh.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah.
Thank you for playing along. All right.
I mean, I see this turning into some kind of ed tech poetry where you can just, just snap your fingers, just play some light jazz in the back. BYOD. Ooh.
FERPA. Ouch. Apple. Expensive.
You know, it'd be a good one to add to that, like student data privacy.
Ooh.
Yeah. See.
That's more ooh EWWW, but yes, yeah, not O.
Okay, so those are some things that we had some fun with that. And one thing that hasn't been fun, as you mentioned, was COVID. That definitely has been that thing that has made people lose some hair, have some hair change colors, have some pounds put on. A lot of things have happened in people's lives due to this pandemic. And it's really got people all off-centered and disrupted. But we're asking all of our guests to really give some words of encouragement to keep people undisrupted. So what you got for us?
Man, I think the biggest thing is you got to remember it's for the kids. I mean, that's why we all do what we do. I mean, day in and day out. I mean, it's one of those things like 10 years ago when I got here, we changed the mindset of this department to if it impacts instruction, it comes first. Well, COVID impacted instruction in a big way. I mean, we had to flip on a dime. I think it's way for the better. I mean, I think I'll be sad if we go back to normal after all this is done, because it pushed the envelope where we all wanted it to go. I mean, Carl he was the king of pushing the envelope to this kind of stuff, for the last 6, 8, 10 years. I mean, I think it's awesome in that aspect of it. But it's going to be interesting, like for the next 6 months, to see how this goes. I mean, you have teachers that say they don't want to go back to work, but it's the same teachers that are, sometimes they're still going to the grocery store. They're still going out to eat.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder about what's gonna stick. I love that you said let's not go back. Let's not go back, right?
Right.
What are some things we could take away from this, right? And then how do we use this as an opportunity? I hate to say that. I know everybody's like, oh, we take an opportunity to learn. It is true though. There's opportunities right now in front of us, and those of you in the field, you two. I mean, I'm itching to get back in sometimes because I keep hearing these stories, but then I also see the tired looks on your faces, and I'm like, you know what? I'm happy where I'm at in this seat right here.
Man, I'll tell you what, in the last couple of months, last 3, 4 months, 5 months, I mean, there are lots of days we go home and just kind of stare at the wall because there's nothing left. All you've done is problem solve all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like we always talk about different movie references or whatever. This is a horrible one, but like in Scarface, he gets to the point where he thinks he has everything, and then everything falls apart. He gets what he wanted. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
this is what I thought I wanted, but it's like, no, this is not. As technology people, we push all this stuff. We've been for years, and it's like, okay, yeah, we finally are getting some money for devices. We're getting people listening to us when we talk about using our learning management platform or using collaborative documents, but we're stuck we're trying to take all that and push it into the old way, as some people aren't listening. They're like, oh, we can do all this stuff the old way. It's like, no, let's change things. We don't want to go back into that old ways. It's not going to work.
Yeah, definitely be careful what you look for or what you ask for.
Yeah, that's okay. She'll be back.
Yeah.
Say hello. Actually, we're not gonna say hello. We are gonna say goodbye. But Shad, thank you so much for joining us today. But give us the people out there, where can we follow you? Where can we follow your work? What's a Twitter handle? All of that.
All right. So on Twitter, it's @TXCTO. That's
Man, you got that really fast. That's good, man. To get the short Twitter handle, Texas CTO, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, how'd you pull that one off?
Man, I got lucky.
just like playing with your Palm Pilot there in that graduation ceremony, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Shad. I appreciate it, man.
Thank y'all.
And this has been the Undisrupted podcast, brought to you by Future Ready Schools. He's Adam.
He's Carl. And remember, we're better together.
And we're better undisrupted. This podcast is made possible by the generous support of Amazon Web Services.